I literally just had a very evil villain laugh because, like, what? Anyways, this is a trade recap. We're gonna go over what I did because, like, I don't even know what just happened, but it worked out. Um, so yeah, I don't know. I'm kind of really baffled by that. The fact that this really worked. I had a really tight stop. I got my 1 to 2, my 1 to 2. I got my 2R, and it was just honestly really beautifully done. I honestly worked on my ability to predict or determine a daily bias, and it's been working out really good actually. Um, so coming into today, I was actually going in with a bearish bias because we did not have a wick. However, we were showing bullish intent. So my bearish bias got invalidated, so I decided to trade bullish. But we'll get to that. So just looking off of the daily chart, obviously we have all of this here, and I was just like, okay, maybe bearish, especially since our daily candle right now does not really have a wick, or we do not have an established low of day. So that is why I was going in with a bearish bias. However, we were rejecting off of this on Nasdaq anyway. We were rejecting off of this bullish PD array, and I guess you could say this order block. But at the end of the day, I have to, I was kind of going in more with a bearish bias because we could reject that fair value gap and just cut through it. But yeah, so going into the 4 o'clock candle, looking at our 4-hour profile, I kind of just marked out the 1800 candle and the 600 candle to kind of see what we got going on here. So mostly what you're doing on this the 4-hour candle, the 4-hour chart really is looking at your 4-hour profiling. You're seeing if there are any SMTs put in. There was an SMT put in here at the lows, but I also noticed that we did not really have basically an established low of day. However, well, I'll get to that actually, but we didn't really have an established low of day, but I did peep the SMT. So I was like, okay, but I kind of want to be bearish. So I was still kind of skeptical, right? So then I went to the 1 hour, and I was just looking at, like, the daily profile more. Again, we had our SMT here, but we actually had an SMT put in at the highs here between this. I know the chart's messy, I'm sorry, but I don't want to, like, erase. Okay, let's just do that. We had an SMT put in here between these two candles, as you can see. So I was like, okay, well, if we're going to be bearish, right, I would need to see this fair value gap be invalidated, and it was never invalidated. We were actually supported up. So this SMT here actually got invalidated, because you have to look at the context, right? We could be bullish, but we did have a no wick daily candle, so I was like, we're going to be bearish. But right now we are being supported up by a bullish fair value gap. So for me to turn, so right now I'm a little bit more bullish because we have the SMTs at the lows, and we're in a bullish fair value gap. So for me to be bearish, I would need to see this fair value gap be invalidated, meaning I would need a candle closure below this fair value gap. We never got that, right? So then I went down to, like, the 30-minute, and I think that's where I marked out. So I'm trying to figure out, is this a 1 hour fair value gap or what? I actually have no idea what hourly fair value gap this is. I don't think it's a 30-minute. It's not. I didn't mark it out as a 30-minute fair value gap. Maybe a 15-minute fair value gap. No, not even. A 5-minute fair value gap. What the heck? What hourly fair value gap did I mark this out as? A 15-minute? No. A 30-minute? No. A 1 hour. Okay, I actually marked this out as a 1 hour fair value gap, it looks like. I think what happened is I just ended up pulling it in, but I marked this out as a 1 hour fair value gap. As you can see, which was supported. We never got a closure below. So then going down to the 5-minute, I was like, okay, well, we're being supported up by this 1 hour fair value gap. But for me to be bullish and for me to take a trade, I need to see mind you, I need to see a closure above these highs here. I don't think I did wait for that, though. I think I just looked at the 3-minute. Yeah, so I think we came into the 10 o'clock hour. I think I took this trade around 10:03, and the reason being is that I was waiting for a 10 o'clock reversal. We were not getting that. We were not getting that 10 o'clock opening reversal, like, because, you know, open, low, high, close, right? So I was looking for a little bit of a pullback and then a move forward. We weren't getting that, and I didn't want to miss the move. So I kind of just went on the 4 hour, and I was like, okay, well, does this, if we're not going to get a move back, because typically expansions don't support deep retracements, right? And this 10 o'clock candle didn't have a wick. So I was like, okay, we're probably going to get a retracement a little bit lower and then go up. We didn't really get that. But I did notice that this 6 o'clock candle closed back in within the range of this 2 o'clock candle. So I was like, this is a C2 closure with an SMT at the low. So this supports, this basically is a manipulation candle, and 10 o'clock should, you know, in theory, in a best case scenario, which is what we were looking for, expansion, right? So expansion does not support deep retracement. So I knew that, okay, we're not getting that pullback, that initial pullback, 10 o'clock pullback. We're just expanding. So I didn't want to miss the move. And then also standard deviation was telling me that, okay, well, we're kind of really close to where we might not see another, we might not. Basically what I'm trying to say is standard deviation is basically telling me that, hey, if you don't enter soon and you enter later, you're probably going to get taken out. So standard deviation was saying, hey, based on this high and this low, like, the best case scenario, you need to get in before we reach here, because then it's going to be low probability, right? And I did realize that the leading asset was ES, because we were really close to these London highs here, and I believe we were I think at the time we were farther away on NASDAQ. So I was like, okay, I'm going to take this on ES because I don't want ES to reach its objective, and then I take it on NASDAQ, and then we come back into the range and I get taken out. So I took this on ES, and as you can see, 10 o'clock did not have any retracements really. So I kind of just was like, all right, I'm getting it now. And this went from, and then I put my entry at the body of this candle, which is technically really not a good stop placement. But if 10 o'clock is supporting expansion, we shouldn't really see a deep retracement anyways. So I was just like, all right. And then I basically just entered and it just ripped to my TP, which is really cool, by the way. Mind you, this is a different session that I'm working on here. I'm not actually, whoa, what just happened? Sorry, I just ended up on a different browser. Anyways, so as you can, I don't think my thing is fully, yeah. So please don't look at this. I feel like I haven't been taking this as seriously. I definitely over-risked on some of these. Like, I think this was like 3% risk. Some of these are 2% risk, which I normally wouldn't do. The 1,000s are definitely like more accurate. They're 1% risk to like, this one's probably like, 0.5 risk or something like that, or 1% risk with like a low R&R or something like that, right? So I mean, somehow I managed to make 9R plus, but like, this is not how I would normally trade. I'm kind of just like taking a bunch of trades to figure out like what is like working out. As you can see, my win rate is 40, but I was like I was below $50,000 a lot, and I'm just now managing to get up there. And as you can see, I changed my theme. I was just like, I just see a lot of people with like white backgrounds, and I was like, you know, let me like try it out. It's fine. I don't know. I feel like it, weirdly enough, has made my trading better, just having a white screen. I don't know. But it does burn my eyes, though. I'm not gonna lie, it really does burn my eyes. But other than that, I like it. I just probably need to wear some blue light glasses or something like that. This is not a backtesting session, so I'm not going to really backtest on here. I just wanted this to be a really short trade recap, which typically spans about like 10 to 15 minutes-ish. I will say right now that, looking at this right now, we did trade back into the body of this candle, so I would be a little bit more bullish, that's for sure. Obviously, our draw on liquidity would be up here. And it looks like we might have an established low of day. So, potentially. But, I mean, we did dip into here. mean, maybe an established low of day. Doesn't look that convincing to me, but hey. So... Oh, yeah, actually maybe it is an established low because we dipped into the fair value gap. In fact, there's an SMT here. We do have a change in state of delivery here from that early dip and then move up. So I would actually say we are moving away from an established low of day. Would have been nice to see like maybe an SMT of some sort here. Oh, I think there kind of is one because we took this low here. We never took it here, and it's a PSP. So there is an SMT. There's actually like double SMTs here. There's one here, and then there's one between here and here. So potentially a two-stage maybe? No, I think they're just two separate SMTs. So yeah. And then we had a change of state of delivery. So coming into the 9:30 open, I'd like to see maybe a sweep of some sort. Unless we want to just keep ripping. It looks like, because we do, I guess you could say we have a change in state right here as well, because we did dip below here, and it looks like that's relatively equal lows though. And it looks like we did dip into here, so we kind of do have another change in state here. So maybe we just want to rip higher from here, maybe, potentially. Oh yeah, because we have, oh shit, hold on. And we just have maybe another change in state of delivery. We actually did close above it, actually. So, and we did close above here. So maybe we actually do want to, I should probably actually put that out there. So maybe we do want to rip higher. Because we have like all this like, you know, we had this change in state here. We have this one here. Yeah. Then we have a retracement here. And now we're trying to go up higher again. So we could actually get some push higher. A hybrid type situation here. And this could potentially be another SMT being put in here. So I'm not gonna lie, after I went down to like the 5 minute, I got a little bit confused. But this is a change in state on the 50 minute. Oh, but that's a change in state on the 30 minute. Yeah, we did close above it on the 30 minute. But that's between this one and this one. Okay, a little bit confused on how I should try and enter this though, I'm not gonna lie. Because we do already have a change in state. Let's just go down to the 5 minute. So let's just see here. Looks like NAS is leading. We do have a swing point here. We dipped into this fair value gap. But I want to see, actually, I guess I think we do have an SMT. We have an SMT right here, actually. Because you can see the fair value gap. We have an SMT here, whereas we dipped into it here. I think NASDAQ is leading now. In terms of, I said this wasn't a backtesting session. We're backtesting, like, go figure. Now, in terms of the draw on liquidity, not a close one near us, so I'd probably just use standard deviation to project what the draw could be. The only thing I will have to say is that NAS is barreling forward. I want to see ES take this thing, but I'm thinking that if I wait that long, we might miss the move. Now in terms of, yeah, I don't know, I might wait. And this is why I said you should wait, because of that. So I don't like that really deep retracement. We took this high here, so now there's an SMT. So now I'm just like, okay, what the hell? Are we switching gears now? Or are we coming back into the range? I ideally want to be bullish, but if this takes this high and comes back down, that would mean our bias is being invalidated, right? So we would want to, because now we have SMTs at the highs here. It's just that this is not a backtesting session, we're backtesting. But I just got really into it. But that would now mean that we're invalidating our bias, and now we're going back down into the range. We could be targeting London lows here. But it's a little bit... Yeah, we are really close to London lows. Shit. But for me to be like, okay, we're going for London lows, I would need to see us close above a series of consecutive... a series, which is easier to tell in the 5 minute than... Let's just see where this 3 o'clock candle closes. See, we're going back into the range, so I don't want to be a little bit hasty, right? I will say we didn't close below this, and we did close below this fair value gap here. So this invalidated our bearish fair value gap, so our bearish SMT, sorry. Our bullish SMT, technically. So I'm thinking we could potentially want to go lower now. The only issue is that we need a more concrete verification. That's technically not enough. We do have a change in state right here. We change in state on NAS, on ES has not been confirmed just yet. But I will say we do have a lot of liquidity below us to grab if lower is the play, right? So we did close. We do have this 3 minute change in state of delivery, and we actually do have another 3 minute change in state of delivery as well. So as you can see, we're going lower from here. I might just take this trade now. So I think in terms of which one is the faster one or the weaker or strengthier, it's hard to tell here. I will say that NASDAQ was the one to put in this SMT, which it has already started showing bearish price action. So in terms of strength, I cannot really determine which one is the stronger or weaker asset. I want to know which one is the one that's going to barrel the most quickest to the target. This is a little bit hard for me to tell. I think I'm just going to take this trade on NASDAQ. So this is only giving me a 1.5 R type situation. In terms of what standard deviation is telling me is that, well, we could potentially get down here, so I will just aim for 2R. Now, will this work out is another thing in sell. I'm entering a little bit early here. We are barreling down towards the target. We have reached first standard deviation. Okay, I'm going to move my stop to break even at this point. Now, if we take London low, I will... Okay, there we go. Now, I could just... Oh, we got it. Okay. That was another really good one. I don't know what's going on, but I've all of a sudden just gotten really better at, like, trading. I don't know what happened, guys. That's another win for me. That's why I'm recording this, because I need to know what's going on. I'm up 11R. I don't know why. That's crazy. I said this was not going to be a backtesting session, but you guys literally just saw what I did. Now, if you're going to ask me, what am I doing differently? I don't know. I changed the colors of my charts. That's what I did differently. I don't know. I will say, I am a little bit better at determining daily bias, and I understand now that yes, you can have a daily bias, but if that bias is being invalidated, then you could trade in the opposite direction. I do think if you're going to switch up your bias, though, you have to be a little bit careful, and you have to look for multiple confirmations or a continuation confluence, in a sense. And then not only that, you could also use the 4-hour profile to get an idea of what the move is going to be. Now, for example, I did see that we put in, actually, it's funny because the 10 o'clock candle didn't even open, but as you can see, if we do go forward in time, like okay, so we went to 10. This is 10, right? So if I had waited for 10, which I possibly could have, but I think if you wait for 10, I think this is going to give you maybe a bullish setup because we're coming back into this fair value gap here. So we could end up putting an SMT. But I'm just saying, if you want, sometimes you could just wait for this 10 o'clock candle to basically tell you or give you an idea of what price wants to do. For example, this is a C2 closure. We took the highs of these candles here and we closed back in the range. That is very bearish, not bullish, bearish. It's very bearish, right? We do not have an SMT at the top technically, but we did sweep these highs and we did have a change in state of delivery on the 3-minute and I think the 5-minute. I don't remember 100% for sure. So at that point, I'm like, okay, we're probably going lower. And not only that now, I've been using standard deviation to give me an idea a little bit. So if standard deviation projection is telling me like, hey, this is like the maximum you could potentially get out of this using standard deviation, it gives me an idea of like, okay, I need to enter now or it's going to be lower probability later on, right? So I kind of use as a gauge to enter the trade. But yeah, there's just multiple things going on. I think the biggest thing is just using having a better idea of how to determine daily bias, and then understanding if your bias is being invalidated or if it's being confirmed. If it's being confirmed, then you just stick with that and try and get an entry based on that. But I think timing an entry is also very important, because if you're entering too late, you could technically be correct in your directional bias, but the longer you take to enter, the lower probability is for you to get your complete R&R or whatever R&R you're targeting, right? So I do think timing is important. And another thing is just using the 4-hour profile and how these candles are closing in relation to one another to determine what's going to be going on. But in all honesty, I won't say I have it 100% figured out. I'm getting better, that's for sure. I'm definitely a in the green backtesting trader. My goal is just to get that 6% plus more consistently, and to consistently have those results show up in my back testing, essentially, before I go for a funded challenge. But yeah, right now I'm really just in the refining stages. It's been a very crazy journey so far, and hopefully these results continue. But with anything in trading, something can be going well, and then all of a sudden it's not going well anymore. So obviously I just need to keep backtesting, refining my skills, and trying to understand how I should be operating in these markets. But with that being said, don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.